There seems to be this so-called tip of psychology where people tell you that you have to conquer your own obsessions in order to defeat them. See, this conquering mindset is not something that will work in the realm of the psyche. See, when people tell you conquer your obsessions, conquer your thoughts, what is it that they actually want to tell me or to tell you? When I look at them and ask them, what exactly do you mean by conquer your obsessions? It's like, what do you want me to become? The emperor of my obsessions? Like, my obsessions would be my slaves? Or what do you want me to become? A better version, a more obsessed version of those? See, in order to conquer a certain thought, you have to realize one thing. You will have to give it so much fucking attention, even probably more attention than you gave it till now. What have you been doing till now? Well, you have been giving it attention. Unconsciously, most likely, but you have been giving it attention. What happened? Well, you can't pull it out of your mind. So the question is, do you think giving it more attention will actually pull it out of your mind? Well, some people will say yes, well, I can think of something else in return. Well, the problem is, I spoke about this in a previous video. See, when you do that, you end up in a deeper shit than before. Because if you try to, um, let's say, balance an obsession with another thing, when you think about something else, you will see your obsession will constantly want to creep in. Yes? The moment you slip back into unconsciousness, all your obsessions will seek to slip in. So the point is, if you try to think about something else to distract yourself from your distraction, well, from your obsession, you're creating two new obsessions. One is think about something, and you're gonna think so much in time that that will become your new obsession. And in parallel, there will be the fear that the first obsession will come back, and the urge at the same time to keep yourself distracted from that. And that is why in time people get up so fucked up mentally that they can't pull anything out of their mind. So you cannot delete anything in your mind. It just will stay there, even if you're not aware of its presence. Well, it will still be there. That is why practicing mindfulness is very wise, because mindfulness, well, a lot of people tell you things about mindfulness, this, mindfulness, that, it's all just some gibberish that they're telling you in order to trap you and take your money. But mindfulness is all about being somewhere where it is pretty calm to there aren't things that will distract you, and you just do whatever. You close your eyes, you lay down comfortably, whatever you feel fit. But the point is, you just stay there and you just let your mind tell you whatever. It will tell you all sorts of ideas, thoughts, opinions. One has to understand all of those are nothing but echoes of the past. They are just ideas that at a certain time you took them from other people, from video games, from the internet, from movies, any other source that you can think of. And these will just go through your mind. There is a cycle for each and every one of your thoughts, opinions, and the such. If you spend time throughout your life, you will see that rhythmically, cyclically, each and every thought of your mind will come back to your mind sooner or later. You will see so many people, they become hyper successful, and after several years, they slip back into some of their self destructive behaviors because they never cemented a way through which they made peace with that obsession. See, in order to understand your obsessions, you never will be able to conquer your obsessions. Conquering them is never the way. The masculine way is never the way for that. A first step towards your obsessions is inclusion. So many people would probably be afraid. It's like, what do you mean? You're going to include your obsessions in your own life? Well, what's the question? What's the problem about that in the first place? You've already included them into your life. It's just that you simply are unconscious of those. You're still reacting to those, which feeds them even more. So slowly and surely you're becoming an even greater obsession, right? They're going to become a greater obsession the more you invest into those. As long as you invest energy into those, unconsciously, obviously, or well, at times probably even consciously, well, the problem is you're already incorporated those into your life. You've incorporated them, and well, you're still feeding those, right? So inclusion is just a way through which you simply accept them for what they are. Yes, you have accepted those now, right? You know you are suffering from those. But it's not just that you suffer from those. You accept it in a way as a lesson. What is it doing to you, first and foremost? Well, most likely, kind of all obsessions are kind of a, let's say, more or less a self destructive behavior. Something bad happens to you, right? And the question is, what could the lesson be? Well, technically, you're missing something in your life, and this became a coping mechanism sometime long ago, and well, you've invested so much time into it. Why? Well, most likely because you kind of ended up thinking that with that lack in your life will be worthless, right? The same principle you see in the modern ads nowadays, right? If you don't get that service, that product that they're presenting, well, your life will suck, right? Well, chances are your life will suck even with those, because, well, a sick society like this one is designed specifically to make sure that nothing ever happens or changes in your life unless some people want it. And typically, when that happens, a new war starts, a famine breaks out, a new pandemic breaks out, or whatever sickly things of a sickly society. So, if we are to move even further, see, the reason why these obsessions exist is first and foremost, you have most likely seen people act this way when you were very young and you took it for granted. You thought that this is the way and you followed it. Probably faithfully, you followed those without knowing much about the consequences of that. Or you thought the consequences are something normal. Because when you don't have adultly guidance in your life, you will end up doing all sorts of stupid things because so many adults are still suffering from the old patterns of their predecessors, right? You see so many people around you smoking, you will think it is the only way. You will cough your lungs out, but you will still think it is okay because deep down you have created an attachment, and that attachment is correlated typically to something like you're not worthy of life. All obsessions gravitate around this thought. You don't need a psychology or a psychiatry degree. I have told you what you need to do. It took me years to dig through the unconsciousness, through different layers of my existence to find this little truth. Whether people do psychology, psychiatry, find this out from books and such, I found this out on my own. The simple point is, one just needs to understand. Obsessions exist because you think something is missing in your life. Something is lacking in your life. The reason why that is lacking also can be correlated with the fact that you feel unworthy of it. Or when these two things are correlated, you will become even more easily obsessed with something because there's no longer just a lack. There is a necessity to make make up for that lack, or to do something that kind of makes you no longer feel right that lack, or something that dulls you down, because that's the point of a self-destructive behavior. It gives you a certain emotion which you take as a replacement for the lack, and you're doing it again and again because it gives you a certain emotion. Sooner or later you will reach the situation when those no longer serve you, and then comes another problem. You must find something else, right? When you find something else, you're gonna be for a long time in that war zone. A part of you will still want to get back to the old patterns, right? While another part will simply want to enjoy the new one. Yes, the new obsession. And then there is the you, the one beyond all your thoughts, that simply wants to be free from those. That you version will simply torment you for as much as possible, because the mind doesn't have any direction at all. The mind, just like life, they don't have a direction. See, the mind is something that creates your thoughts, or you can use it to end up to different thoughts, to make use of logics to end up to a certain conclusion, and then follow that conclusion, right? The more you invest mentally, emotionally, physically in general, your life energy is towards something, the life that you truly are will simply follow that, thinking that that is the way. That is why, unfortunately, so many people, after having, like everyone, after having invested so much into something, it is nigh impossible to simply give it up, right? Because you have dressed it in so much of your own energy that now that obsession, not only is it harmful, but it feels as if it is a limb of yours. It is a bit of yours, a very precious part of yours that if you give it up, it's like giving up a limb. It's like giving up an arm, a leg, or probably even more of yourself, right? The same thing happens with objects in your house. Just because they are close to you, they get so imbibed with your own vibe, with your own aura, whatever it is. It may be miserable, it may be highly vibrant. But once they become imbibed with that, you will let those things linger around, right? A year, 2 years, 3 years may pass. You still haven't thrown that junk away. It's still there because, well, now it is imbibed with your aura. You will perceive it as it is an indisposable part of yourself. Similarly, obsessions are just like that. But beyond those, it is just a conviction. A conviction that you're not worthy of more. That you'd be not worthy of a life without that. That you always have to do something, must do something, right? That slaver's word, right? That slave's word, that slavish word, set of words, expressions, that you must do, the rat race, all of these things. Beyond all of your obsessions, there is just this lack. You are lacking something, or you consider you're lacking something. Maybe you don't even need that in your life. But one day, you simply accepted that. And then, well, it can be something as simple as, well, you don't look as good as you thought other people thought of, right? Or as, little and irrelevant thoughts as possible in the end. When you draw a line, you'll be probably something like, you're gonna piss yourself laughing. It's like, have I been stupidly suffering from this little dumb shit for so long? Well, most likely the answer will be yes. But in the end, beyond all of your obsessions, there is one single core. That you are not worthy of life. That you are not worthy of receiving anything. Out of this stem all of these social, so-called pseudoscientific aspects about, your, what's it called? You're drawing the wrong things in your life. You're manifesting the wrong things in life. All of these just stem from one little thing. Just because you have been convinced by some bozos in your life through their behavior, through their quotes or whatever else, that you'd not be worthy enough of their attention, or life in general. Well, the point is, you have developed all of these coping mechanisms. You have invested so fucking much into those that now you simply can't pull them out of your head. Now that you have this knowledge, which I also presented in some previous videos as well, one way or another, it is now your choice what you are going to do with that. Hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferinjan Board signing out.